The first time was hard. After that nothing. 15 years in the Roman auxiliary. Judea, Syria, the northern provinces. He had put his blade into men who begged, men who prayed, men who went silent and men who screamed. After a while the sounds stopped being different from each other. He was a professional. He followed orders the way a river follows its banks, not because it chooses to, but because that is simply the shape of things. And the shape of things, on this particular morning, was this: the rabbi from Galilee had become a problem. Not a political problem. Not yet. But the Pharisees were nervous, and when the Pharisees were nervous they made the prefect nervous, and when the prefect was nervous he called in men like Marcus Drusus and said, "Handle it quietly," and Marcus Drusus knew exactly what quietly meant. He had been paid already. Half now, half after. He rolled the coins in his palm as he walked toward the crowd at the edge of Capernaum and thought about nothing. That was his gift. He heard the man before he saw him. Not preaching. Not performing. Talking. The way you talk to someone you have known a long time. Marcus stopped at the edge of the crowd and found him sitting on a low wall, speaking to a woman whose shoulders were shaking. Not from cold. The rabbi put his hand on her shoulder and said something Marcus couldn't hear. The woman's shoulders stilled. Marcus moved closer, one hand loose at his side, mapping exits the way 15 years had trained him to do. Close enough now to see the face. It was not what he expected. He didn't know what he had expected. Someone performing, maybe. Someone with the eyes of a man who knows he has an audience. He had seen that type: the street prophets, the traveling healers, the men who worked a crowd the way a merchant works a market. This man was not performing. He was just present. Like nothing could pull him away from this moment. Like most people were slightly behind their own eyes, and this man was simply and completely here with this woman, in this breath, as if the rest of the world had stepped back to give them room. Marcus realized he had stopped walking. The crowd shifted and for a moment the rabbi looked up. Directly at Marcus. Not at the crowd. Not past him. At him. With the unhurried attention of a man who has been expecting you. Marcus held the gaze. He was good at that. He had stared down men in the moment before he killed them and never looked away. But this was not a challenge. Not fear. Recognition. As if the man on the wall could see not just his face but the 15 years behind it, the coins in his palm, the blade at his hip, the long roster of names Marcus no longer remembered. As if he could see all of it. And was not surprised. And was not afraid. Marcus broke the gaze first. He told himself it was tactical. He waited. He was patient. Patience was another professional virtue, and he found a position near a doorway where he could watch the road. The crowd would thin by midday. There would be a moment. But the moment kept not arriving. Because people kept coming. An old man who could barely walk. A mother carrying a child whose face was too pale, too still. A tax collector hated by everyone, approaching with his head down like a dog that has been kicked so many times it no longer remembers what it was before. The rabbi turned none of them away. He did not sort them by worthiness. Did not ask what they had done or whether they deserved it. He just looked at them, that same look, present and complete, as if each one was the only person in the world. Marcus watched this the way he had once watched, as a child in Rome, a flood river, something too large to be properly explained. He had not thought about being a child in a long time. The tax collector broke him. The man came with his head already down, hands moving in apology. "I know what I am, I know what you think of me," and the rabbi stood and walked to him and took him by both shoulders before he could finish. He didn't say it's fine. He didn't say I forgive you. He said, quietly, I see you. 3 words. The tax collector made a sound like something cracking open, and the rabbi held him there, in the middle of the road, while people stared and some muttered, and he didn't let go until the man was still. Marcus pressed his back against the doorway. Something was happening in his chest that he had no name for, a pressure, a heat, something forcing its way up through 15 years of nothing, and he realized, with a coldness that had nothing to do with the air, that he had spent 15 years without feeling anything at all. His hand was on the hilt of his blade. He hadn't noticed he'd put it there. He crossed the road. His legs decided. His body made a choice his mind was still arguing about as he pushed through the crowd and stopped in front of the man who was sitting again now, alone, watching him approach. Still not afraid? Why aren't you afraid of me? Can't you see what I am? You know why I'm here, Marcus said. Yes, the rabbi said. Then you should run. Should I? Marcus stared at him. The coins were still in his palm. Half now, half after. I have killed men who prayed, he said. His voice came out rougher than he intended. Men who called on God in 4 different languages. It did not help them. I know. Then why? He stopped. Why are you looking at me like that? The rabbi said nothing. Then, because. A pause. Just a breath. The length of a door closing. I see you, Marcus. The sound of his own name in that mouth stopped him completely. He had not given it. He had spoken to no one. 15 years of careful, and this man said his name the way you say the name of someone you grew up with. How do you? Sit down, the rabbi said. Marcus sat down. You were 8 years old when your father left, the rabbi said. That morning you decided the world was a transaction, everything with a price, everything with a function. That if you were useful enough, good enough at the thing you were built to do, you would never need anything you couldn't earn. He paused. You have been earning ever since. The coins fell out of Marcus's hand. He watched them hit the dirt. Did not pick them up. Who are you? He whispered. Someone sent, the rabbi said. For the moment a man who has been nothing but a function his entire life arrives at the end of his rope and finds out there is something on the other side of it. Marcus looked at his empty hand. Something moved through him then, violent and sudden, a fist unclenching that has been clenched so long the fingers have forgotten any other shape, and it hit the back of his throat and behind his eyes, and he made a sound he had not made since he was 8 years old, and a door closed, and everything after that became a transaction. I was going to kill you, he said. I know. I had coins. I had orders. He looked at the dirt. I had a plan. I know, Marcus. And you just, his voice broke. He let it? You just sat there. The rabbi leaned forward and put his hand on the back of Marcus's neck. Not in ceremony. Not in performance. The way you hold someone who is freezing and has been freezing so long they stopped noticing the cold. I did not come, he said quietly, for the people who have it figured out. Marcus sat on that wall a long time after the rabbi walked away. He looked at the coins in the dirt. Did not pick them up. He was 38 years old and had no orders, no function, no shape to pour himself into. He did not know what a man was when you stripped all that away. He was not sure he had ever known. It was the most terrifying thing he had ever felt. And underneath the terror, faint, distant, almost unrecognizable something that felt like the first breath after a very long time underwater. He stood up. Left the coins in the dirt. Walked away from the shape of things. They will write about the water turned to wine, the dead who walked back through the door, the storms that stopped mid-sentence. They will not write about the Roman soldier who came to Capernaum to end a life and left his coins in the dirt instead. But here is what I know: the most dangerous man in that crowd that day walked away the most changed. And the rabbi never ran. He just waited. The way God always waits. Like he already knew you were coming.